So yesterday, Alberta announced its natural gas vision and strategy, and one of the components of that was a hydrogen plan. And hydrogen is all the rage these days. Everybody wants to get in on the emissionless fuel. And to talk to us about Alberta's announcement, we're going to be chatting with Mark Kirby, who's the president and CEO of the Canadian Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Association. Welcome to the interview, Mark.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Just let's start off the interview by just give us your response to Alberta's announcement, please.
Well, I think obviously very pleased to see that announcement. It is a great signal from a leading province in Canada as to what the potential is for hydrogen, and I think it has is many aspects to which are very encouraging.
What are some of those aspects that really stood out for you?
Well, we have long stated that hydrogen is an essential part of getting to net neutral 2050. And I think this has been supported by many studies. And in fact, one of the studies which I think has really been influential in this is some work done by the Transition Accelerator out of Calgary and Dr. David Lazelle from the Cesar Center in the University of Calgary. And they have been looking at, what do we need to do really to start achieving net zero 2050? And when you start parsing that down and looking at the challenges of decarbonizing industrial processing, heating, transportation, it very quickly leads to the conclusion that you need hydrogen. It is an essential part of that mix. And in fact, you need a lot of hydrogen. As much as 20 to 30% of our entire energy supply might be from hydrogen by the year 2050. Now, in order to get that staggering amount of hydrogen, we're going to have to tap into many sources of it. And it's very encouraging to see the Alberta government recognizes this business opportunity. And they are capitalizing on their strengths to make that hydrogen available.
So generally there's two types of hydrogen we're talking about. One is blue, which is made out of natural gas, CO2 sequestered in old oil and gas reservoirs. The other is green hydrogen made from electrolysis and renewable energy. So I assume we're talking in Alberta about blue hydrogen. And what's your association's take on that?
Well, we actually like to think of it in terms of there's low carbon intensity hydrogen, and then there's hydrogen produced with a lot of CO2 emissions. And we are in favor of low carbon intensity hydrogen, however it's produced. And there's lots of ways you can do that. As you mentioned, you can use fossil fuels, and as long as you capture and manage the carbon that's produced in that process, then it's low carbon intensity. You can also use clean renewable power, or you can even use nuclear power. You can use biomass. There are many ways that you can transition Canada's vast array of energy sources and turn that into hydrogen and make sure that's low carbon intensity hydrogen. So we favor them all. We think they're all essential.
Now, Mark, last question here. Your association is made up of many companies on the manufacturing side of hydrogen. And by that, I mean, like Ballard, the fuel cell manufacturer. But I think Ballard would be one of those names everyone will recognize, but there are many companies, as I'm discovering, that are really innovative and people don't know about them. What does this announcement mean for those companies?
All the companies that are involved in the fuel cell sector, and we have many companies, literally dozens of companies engaged in the fuel cell and fuel cell technology sector in Canada. Ballard is perhaps the most well known, but there are others like Cummins, Loop, Illuming, and many more. Those companies all recognize that in order for their products to have broad adoption, you need to have hydrogen energy have broad adoption. And so they are entirely supportive of the use of hydrogen in heating, in buildings, and in any other application as well, because they know that will make hydrogen available for transportation applications, and that's where their products are needed to efficiently turn that hydrogen into electrical power, which can be used to drive the wheels of a car and do that in a zero emission way.
Mark, thank you very much for this. Hydrogen, I expect, is going to be in the headlines for for a long time in the future. So we'll look forward to chatting with you in the future about this story as it develops.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today.